Okay, so today I've got Erika on my channel from Erika's MN Straps. And like I just told Erika just before we started recording, sooner or later all my watches seem to appear on one of your straps. So I'm a massive fan, and I know there's a lot of fans out there. So thank you so much for taking the time to get interviewed today.
Well, thanks for having me. Very happy to be here.
Excellent. Could you tell us a little bit about your background first?
Well, I have a background actually in advertising, in
Oh,
marketing.
yep,
I worked for a company in Holland for many years where we had a few big customers and we just did everything for them. It was the early days of websites, so I built some websites in my
yep.
days, and then we basically did everything for this company, from new business cards to complete makeovers, everything.
So what was your first watch, and what would you say is some of your favorite brands at the moment?
My very first watch was a Casio. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
sure if I'm pronouncing that okay, but I think a lot of people started out with one of those watches.
Yeah.
It was gifted to me by my grandmother.
Oh
And
right.
when
Oh
we
nice.
cleared out my parents' house a few years ago, I only found the empty box. Not sure what happened to the watch, but it's gone missing in time.
Yeah.
But that was the very first one.
Nice.
And
Okay.
for the second part of your question, I don't really have favorite brands.
Okay.
Of course, this whole household is infected with doxa, so yeah,
Oh
that would
yeah.
be obvious because
Infected.
I
Yeah.
just see doxas all the time.
Right.
But I actually recently bought my Grail watch. I
Oh.
wanted for many, many, many years, and forever I was holding back, like, nope, because what is going to be my next one? But there it is.
Oh, it's a Panerai. Oh, beautiful.
Yay! And I
Fantastic.
actually thought, well, this is a brilliant excuse because we made the new Havana strap. I'm not sure if you already have it.
No.
Uh, and we also make it in 26. And I was like, who's wearing a 26
Yeah.
strap? Panerai. So
Yeah. Of
that's
course.
the perfect excuse to give myself a new Panerai.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And you can probably write it off on tax too, right? So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the company expense, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So could you tell us a little bit about how your strap designs came to be? I mean, I suppose we know a little bit, or I mean, I guess most people know a little bit about how after, I guess the origin of the strap was French Marines using whatever they could find to make a strap that meant that their watch didn't fall off, basically. But
Mhm.
what was your how did you come across all this?
Well, that happened because of those divers. My husband at the time managed to lay his hands on a vintage Doxa, and he just asked me if I could make him a strap to make it
Right.
look more authentic, made out of old parachute webbing.
Yeah.
And I was basically doing nothing at the time. We had just moved to Spain to get out of the rat race, take life a little bit easier and slower, and enjoy the good life.
Yeah.
So I was sitting around a swimming pool basically all of the time and enjoying Spain.
Sounds good.
And yeah, sounds brilliant. That
Yeah.
worked for almost a year, I think. And then he came up with this parachute he ordered off the internet, and I cut off the webbing and started fiddling around with it and came up with this adjustable strap for him. And he was, well, simply wearing it, putting it on his watch. And at first he was like, but this is not how they made it. They made like a fixed loop strap, and this is completely different. I'm not sure I even liked it at first. And then he wore it for a couple of days and he came like, this is brilliant because
Mm.
it's micro adjustable. It's so much more comfortable than my other straps. And he posted a picture on his Instagram. And then another few days later, he came for coffee and he said, well, I think you have a new business because people reach out to me and ask me, can she please make me one of those straps as well? And it just started from there.
Yeah. Right. It's such a fantastic story. Like,
It
really.
is. It,
Yeah.
yeah. If you try to come up with something like that, you probably won't be able to. But yeah,
No.
it's a brilliant story. And it basically simply grew from there because
Yeah.
at first I only had the vintage straps, a pile of stinking parachutes in the hallway. And then I was lucky enough to source the new old stock webbing. It wasn't less smelly. It had to stay like outside of my house. But I was basically stitching the straps on my terrace
Yeah,
running to
right.
the post office every afternoon because they closed for the siesta. This is still Spain, of course.
Yeah.
And it was a one-woman thing
Yeah.
until it got too much and I had to hire some people that at first also came to my house, pick up the work, stitch them in their house, came back the next day, and I started running to the post office again.
Yeah.
It's only a few years ago.
Yeah, but one of the most impressive things that you do, which is definitely, I think, the future, and or I should say, where a lot of brands really make a difference these days is customization, and that's something that you have absolutely nailed. So that alone makes your business model so strong, I think, because you got the ability to add print and the little flags and different buckles and all that sort of thing. So, did you just come up with that concept yourself? And was it difficult? Like particularly something like the stitching the flags and things must be a bit
Mhm.
challenging, I would imagine.
It is. And basically, this grows organically as well. I think this is the most important thing about my whole business, that you can customize it
Yeah.
to the very small detail. It is really your strap. All straps are customized. I don't have a big stock where I can walk in and say, okay, this guy wants a yada yada. Nothing is pre-made. Everything is like, okay, it's custom. And I
Yeah.
think that's the most important thing. I always say custom is my standard.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the most important thing. Yeah, I think it's not very good English, but I think it's appropriate.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, no, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So was it difficult? Like the flags and I'm thinking like the print on the material as well. What did you do there? Like just trial and error, I suppose, or
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, especially with the print. I found a few straps with this number on it from the original
Okay.
New Oxford webbing, and I sold them. And then again, customers post their pictures, so I got a lot of requests from customers saying, "Can I have this print as well?" And I said, "No, sorry,
Yeah.
they're gone. I only
Yeah.
had a few."
Yeah.
And then it's like ding dong, another light bulb moment. Why don't we start printing these straps ourselves?
Yeah.
So we have this like block print with the letters and the thing. So every print is handmade again.
Yeah.
A lot of experimenting with different ink, and yeah, it doesn't come off too quickly. So
Uh,
it's all trial and error. And that's the
yeah.
same with the little flags. There was one guy in France who first reached out like, would that even be possible? So that kind of challenges me all the time. So I
Yeah.
just fiddling around and oh yeah, it doesn't actually look so bad. And then from there on, it grows because customers will see a picture, come back to me via email with a question like, okay, so you did the French flag, but what about this flag? What about
Yeah.
this flag? Until a moment I got challenged by someone in England who said, well, a French flag, that's all good and fine, but what about the Union Jack?
Yeah.
I was just like, no, you've got to be kidding me because this flag is only like half a centimeter big.
Yeah.
And the linen I use for the flags is not very fine linen. It's not like the precision embroidery.
No.
So I just looked at the flag a few more times and I just tried and I showed the result around in the group and they were like, "Oh my God, this is brilliant!" And then I posted it on Insta like, "Okay, challenge accepted. What do you think?" And since
Yeah.
then, just it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Don't try me for the Australian flag. I've tried. No. Well,
No,
there
of
are
course.
limits. There are limits. And therefore, we came up with like, okay, if it's too complicated to embroider or to stitch on, because I can only do straight lines,
Oh yeah.
well,
Okay.
engrave them on the hardware. So there's another thing. If you want the Australian flag, well, you can always opt for the engraving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good idea. Yeah. Yeah, and it's quite interesting because I think the first review I did, where I had one of your straps attached was I got my son a Seiko for his 18th. So what we
Hmm.
did for him, so I mean, I'm Swedish originally, as we mentioned, and so what we did for him, we had his birthday on the yellow and then a Swedish flag underneath. And I actually think I wouldn't be surprised if the strap would be something that he will keep with him for the rest of his life, more so than the watch, actually. So, that's quite interesting, I reckon, because We always talk about watches being special to us and heirlooms and this and that, but I actually think that your straps will be just as special. And I'm not even exaggerating. I think that's a genuine comment, and it's pretty cool.
Well, that's a huge compliment. Thank you very much. And I hope so. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
so.
me
And
too.
because exactly like the modifications you just told me, that is what makes the strap special. Not the
Yeah,
fact that I make it, that it comes from me, but the fact that you thought about how the strap should look like, and that's what makes it important, I
yeah,
guess, for fun as well.
yeah, yeah, and
It's
it's quite interesting as
customization the
well.
customer comes up with, and I'm only happy to facilitate. That's just a
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, and to the casual observer, like people that are not into watches, they look at the whole package. That they look at, they say to you, "Nice watch," but what they actually
Hmm.
mean is the watch and the band and everything, and that's what kind of draws them in. So,
It's the whole combination. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. And that's what I like more above any brands or watches or what they look like is the story behind the watch.
yeah,
That's what makes it so interesting for me.
yeah, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
just love it when customers come back with like, I have now a customer, I haven't even responded to him, who sent me a picture of a helmet from his grandfather, and he inherited his watch. And he now wants to engrave the buckle with the text that is on the helmet.
Right.
And we're just gonna take it one step further because there's some flames on the helmet as well. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, this would be so uber cool, just
yeah,
with the flames and the little line, and this watch being inherited from his grandfather. It's just gonna be a thing that lasts him forever.
yeah,
Just that gives me great satisfaction.
yeah, yeah. That's just so fantastic. Yeah, I mean, as you said, like your job satisfaction must be very high.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, so I guess without giving away any secrets, could you tell us a little bit of how your journey went, just getting started with, because obviously you mentioned already you got original parachute material. So what do you do now? Like, is it the case of trying to replicate that material, or you mentioned like new old stock, or I mean, without giving away any secrets, obviously, but
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, the new old stock will last for as long as I have it, and it
okay,
cannot be
yeah,
made again. It's new old stock webbing, and we're
yeah,
never gonna try and replicate the new old stock webbing. That's just a thing. If that's gone, it's gone forever.
yeah,
Unless I'm able to find new material, but that's highly unlikely at this point.
yeah, okay,
So we had to come up with a different solution, and that was also kind of automatically because customers reached out after having bought a first vintage strap. Like, Erica, this is all good and nice. A green strap is beautiful, but if I'm going to work, I have to wear a suit, and I can't wear a suit with a green strap. So
yeah,
you start making black straps, blue straps, whatever. So now I think we have a little over 120 different color options,
wow,
but we weren't able to find the perfect material nowhere in
no,
the world. And the machines that were used to produce the vintage webbing, they're gone. They're out of commission.
right,
They were scrapped like years ago. They're not in use anymore because they're highly efficient, and people just, I don't know, factories take for granted that it goes faster and the quality can be second.
yeah,
And that's something I refuse to. So we bought this incredibly intelligent weaving machine that is normally used to produce artificial arteries,
oh,
and we use it to produce webbing.
right.
Yeah, the factory was like, "Are you insane? This is not possible. You cannot do this." Yeah, I think we can. I think we
Yeah.
might. So we went with some material in our suitcase to this factory, and we ran an experiment, and they were like, "Wow, it is possible. Wow." But still, this is an incredibly intelligent machine. Why would you
Yeah.
want to use such a machine to produce webbing? Well, that's a very easy answer because we want the best quality possible.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything. You have to reinvent yourself over and over again. Otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah.
In
That,
in Holland, we have a saying. It's rust roest. It means rust stops everything, and that goes for people as well. If
yeah.
you
Yeah.
sit back and relax, think, well, I'm there now, and the rest will go automatically. forget about it. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
reinvent. So take a look at the strap every day, over and over again. Be critical. Where are the points you can improve? And just do it.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, one of your recent examples was adding a little slot in one of the metal bits so
Mhm.
that you can fold it flat and stuff. And that's interesting because, as you say, I mean, that is not essential, but it's
No,
nice. It's
no,
nice to have.
exactly. Well, and that comes also from Instagram, where I see a lot of watches, say in a pile on a table.
Yeah,
And you can always pick out my strap immediately because it's the one strap that you can't store flat.
right. Yeah,
And therefore, it's quite hard to take nice pictures. And that's one of the biggest hobbies of a lot of watch lovers.
yeah,
They
yeah,
love to take pictures of their watches. And my
yeah,
strap makes it kind of difficult. So we came up with like, how can we improve on this? And I still have a lot of customers who say, can I please have the old piece of metal because I don't need to store it flat and I'm perfectly happy with the way the strap is. And that's not a
yeah,
problem because I have plenty of those little pieces of metal left.
yeah.
So they just have to send me a little email and I will adjust their order and no problem. But a lot of other customers really appreciate it and go like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of this, but yeah,
No.
why not?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's so cool. And so I didn't have this here in my little briefing to you either. But the other thing that's really interesting, I thought, was how Oris chose you for was it one of their bronze pieces? So they
The
supplied
garbage
your
here.
yes. I mean that is just awesome as well. Like I mean, for a small tiny business like yours to be chosen by Oris, which is a fairly major
Uh-huh.
force in Switzerland, it's just fantastic. It would have been a huge surprise, I suppose, when they contacted you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we
Yeah.
went to Switzerland. I have spoken to them several times on other watch events. So
Okay.
I knew them already a little bit. And then they simply reached out and said, well, can we have a discussion about this? Because we want to do one of our limited editions with one of your straps. Can we discuss this?
Yeah.
So we did. We went there and, well, it was a very nice conversation and we just did it.
So cool. And
Yeah,
it's
brilliant.
yeah, and it's so handy too because I own one of the Pro Powers, like the bronze one.
Hmm.
And so I got one of your straps with the bronze buckle to go with it. And it's interesting because the shades are almost exactly the same, which is really handy because I mean with bronze there's so many different types of bronze and all that, but it does seem like your shade is almost exactly the same as what ours uses.
Yeah,
So,
that's correct. Yeah.
yeah.
That was a lucky
Um,
coincidence, to be honest.
yeah, 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 good. Um, So yeah, in my day job, I work a lot with small businesses, and so I know what it's like to be everything. So you're the accountant, you're the web designer, you're the marketing person, you're quality control, you're this, you're that. It's just a never-ending list. So, um, did you realize how challenging that would be early on, or did this become a monster pretty quickly?
Not at all. No,
No,
not at all. And well, I'm a few years in now, and I have gathered a group of wonderful people around me by now.
good.
But yeah, there were some sleepless nights in the beginning, and that
Yeah.
was right up till the point that I realized that nobody's benefiting from me having sleepless nights.
No,
So I just let it go. I can't be everywhere at the same time.
no.
I do what I do as best as I can, and I do make mistakes. It's very
Yeah,
easy, very
yeah,
simple, and I just fess up. I just had a customer the other week. We went to on vacation with the whole crew for 10 days because that's the only way I will actually have vacation.
yeah,
Otherwise, I still have to do everything to keep them going.
yeah,
So we closed down completely, and this special customer reached out, said, "Can you please send me my strap before your vacation because I'm going on vacation as well." Yada 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 yada. And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I will make sure it leaves." So I put his working paper to the side, thinking I'm gonna push this to the front of the line, and instead of doing so, I just left it.
right.
So my assistant in Bulgaria reminded me, like, what happened to this customer? Because you promised him, and I'm like, oh, oh. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I just sent him an email saying, listen, I'm really sorry, and I had every good intention to get your strap out, but sorry, it
Yeah.
didn't work. And to me that's very important. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go back to the customer with some shitty story or make up a
No.
lame excuse. It is what it is. I've tried, I failed, my mistake. I'm sorry. And he just comes back with, well, everybody can make mistakes, no worries. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's a strap we're
No.
talking about, not world peace.
No, that's right. Because
Yeah.
I actually did I think I did email you when you were away, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was basically just saying we're away on holidays. If it's urgent, bad luck or
Sorry.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's pretty funny, but you know that's the thing. Like it's you we're making straps. Like we're not heart surgeons, right? So
Exactly,
we might have a
exactly.
machine that can make arteries, but you know we're not making
It's
arteries with it.
and
So
well, and that kind of takes time to realize that because
yeah,
I could easily work in a shop. I love talking to people all day, preferably all of the day.
yeah,
Well, that's not my life. And at first, when emails pop in, I'm like, oh, this needs to be answered. I remember in the very first beginning, my brother was visiting us from Holland with his family, and I was opening my laptop at 11 at night or 12, I don't know, and I was sending him an email, or and I answered this email, and he just looked at me and said, "Sorry, Erica, you can't do this. You can't send people emails at 11 or 12 at night. That's so unprofessional." And I just looked at him and like, but this customer is in Australia.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like it's in the middle of the night for him. And he
No,
didn't
it's
realize,
probably
like, my
me.
customers, exactly,
Yeah,
they come from all over the world. So if I
yeah,
want, I can sit behind my computer like all day, every day,
yeah,
answering emails. And I
yeah,
have stopped doing this. And if they are unhappy because it takes them too long or takes me too long to answer their email, I will simply go like, I'm really sorry, but I do need to rest occasionally as well.
yeah.
And they go like, "Oh, sure, yes, sure. There's no hurry." It's like,
No.
okay.
This equation, so I don't, you probably haven't watched anything else that I did for microbrands, but I often talk to them about the fact that, uh, you know, it's a very difficult equation, right, to get right when it comes to price, because it needs to be affordable, but you also need to make a profit. And whilst customers want to buy things as cheaply as possible, obviously, we also want you to be around for a long, long time. So, you know, there's such a tough balance there to strike. So, how's that working for you? Like, are you, is it profitable enough for you to make a living from this and pay staff?
Yes, it is.
Good.
But it is a constant fight with my accountant, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, well, as in most of the world, prices of material, of raw material, has gone up tremendously over the last 2 years, thanks to our little friend Corona.
Yeah.
And they are forever pressing me like, Erica, really, you need to adjust these prices because this cannot work anymore. Same with shipping. I mean, the shipping I charge my customers is the same price I pay for the shipping. And these prices go up, mine don't. And I'm really strong in, well, I'm convinced that like this is a good price point. It is expensive, it's not a cheap strap, but it's a good strap. So
Mm.
therefore, I can justify this with the quality and the service, the level of service we provide. And I don't want to up my prices. I just don't want to.
No.
But yeah, I think at a certain point I will have to give in because
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
all, this is a business. But it's something that's very close to my heart, and I want everybody to be able to afford one of my straps. I knew
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
customers have to really put money aside to be able to buy that strap, and others, well, they don't care. And the argument is very often like, okay, well, he's wearing a Tudor or a Rolex or whatever, so he can afford this strap. That shouldn't be a problem. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but it's not up to me to decide.
No.
So I try to keep this fair price point, well, to the best of my abilities.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you are doing really well there, and it is interesting because I mean I've done a number of written reviews on your straps and you know on my YouTube videos and all that sort of stuff, and I actually do think that you know even if you're talking like a really basic watch like a Seiko watch, or you're talking like this one that I'm wearing like the Snowflake, right? That's a super expensive watch if you buy it new, so proportionally, the strap is not even 1% of the cost.
Hmm.
But if you have a Seiko watch, then it's probably more like 20, 30% of it. But uniquely you can customize these straps to be specific to you. They're of a very high quality, so you do get what you pay for. So there's a lot of you. Hopefully, you never end up on these forums, and I try not to stay away from them. But there's always a few discussions about the fact that they are the best, but they're expensive. But
Hmm.
you do in this case get what you pay for. So
Yeah.
that's me rambling. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a fair price point.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, for sure. So it seems to me you're at a pretty good point now where you have a good database and you got a good following online as far as I can tell, and there's heaps of positive reviews online as well from me and many others. So what's next for you to grow your brand, and where do you think you'll be in 5 years?
Yeah, that's a very tough question.
Yeah,
Yeah, you wrote it down and I was
yeah,
reading it yesterday and I was like, wow, where do I want to be in 5 years? Well, hopefully I get to travel a little bit more in the next years.
yeah,
Don't think I want to change a whole lot about my business at this point. Of course, we're still looking to even further innovate or update the strap and think of new colors, new combinations, and we have a few new limited edition buckles
oh yeah,
coming up later. Well, as you know, the Great Wave buckle earlier this year or late last year was a huge success,
yeah,
and I still get emails like every day from customers saying, "Well, I know you told me it's a limited edition, but I'm sure you kept a few behind, and I
yeah,
think I need one." I'm like, no, sorry, that is kind of the thing with limited editions; they tend to
yeah,
be limited. So no, that's not going to be back. But there's other interesting designs we could do. So there's going to be more specialized or limited edition buckles.
yeah.
And yes, of course we have plans. Of course we have plans.
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we can't wait to see what those are. So that's going to be exciting.
Mm,
But also, I mean, it sounds like you're in a really good place by the sounds, both personally and professionally, where it's just as important to have a good life as it is to run a nice business. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Not everyone has to be, an enormous company and sell to the highest bidder. There's such a thing as job satisfaction, being happy as well. So
absolutely. Well, at this moment, my whole crew is extremely happy and everybody's loving their job. So I don't have any reason to change anything at the moment. And
no,
like I said, if the world is opening up again and the whole COVID Corona thing is a bit behind us, hopefully I can start traveling again because that's something I really love to do, talk to people. And yeah, I don't know. It's just nice to meet up with other people. I did this
yeah,
a few years ago, just before the whole Corona thing started, made this world trip that lasted almost 4 months. Maybe not that big, but I would love to travel back to Asia at one point. I have
yeah,
a few big customers in Japan that would love to see me again, and Australia is
yeah,
top of my list as well. It's just
yeah,
really nice. And flying, well, you know all about it. Flying to Australia from Europe is not something you'll do for a week or for 2 weeks.
no,
Preferably a little bit longer and just make a little Asia tour maybe and include this Australia. This is just a perfect opportunity for me to set up some meetings and meet my customers in the wild because
yeah.
a lot of them only are a name on paper or on my screen even. And it's always so nice to have a face with a name.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think, and that's partially why I do this as well, like the interviews, because I've seen a couple of clips of you here and there, but as you say, like it's really interesting to meet the people behind the brands and see what they like and hear their stories and things. So you just
Exactly.
can't beat that. And it's the same for you. Like you come across, I'm sure you talk to a lot of your customers back and forth for a long time. So how great is it to meet them in person? It's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm one of those OCD freaks that actually remembers a lot of names. So if I meet somebody live and they will look at me in well, you just get the sense like this is a customer and he's trying to figure out how much am I in tune with my customers. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this and this guy. Didn't you send me the picture of the yada yada watch? the other day, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, really? You remember all your customers?" No, no, not all of them. They have to stand out for some reason,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a lot of customers, I do recognize their names and will know if I have talked to them about something. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what makes my work fun.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So yeah, my last question, you kind of already touched on that, but if you do have any secret designs or any fun new projects you could share with us, but I mean, you did mention that more limited editions, things like that. So you don't have to give anything away, but but I guess on that note, is the easiest way for you to innovate, is it to sort of play with buckles and color designs? Is that the only option, would you say, or?
Well, I think the design is pretty much done. I don't think I can perfect more on the actual strap design. I'm working around with another design thing, but that's still in the design or in the preliminary phase. I
Yeah.
can't really say anything about that.
No.
There's maybe a new collaboration coming along later,
Oh,
but
cool.
still, it's too soon to reveal anything about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few crazy ideas in my head actually, and in the next few months I'll be testing the waters to see if that can actually see the light of day.
Yeah.
It's too soon to say anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, it's just fun. I mean, we will all be sitting here waiting to see whatever you come up with. So that'd be awesome.
Well, that's nice. That's really
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, so thank you so much for doing this. It's been really nice to meet you. And yeah, hopefully there'll be some questions when I do launch the video. So if they are there, I'll just give you a gentle nudge. So, you know, maybe you want to answer them, but they'll probably contact you directly anyway. But yeah, it'll be yeah, it's been lovely to meet you, and thank you again for taking the time.
Well, thanks again for having me and having the patience with me.